Weak auras can be incredibly helpful, but also incredibly complicated. That's why in this video, I'll be sharing a beginner's guide to help you understand, download, and even customize weak auras to help take your World of Warcraft gameplay to the next level. Now, I do want to go ahead and break this video down into 3 categories. First, how to download and set up weak auras. 2, some general weak aura options. And lastly, understanding what's called Luxthos WeakAuras. He's the one that I use for all of my individual characters, and sharing some basic customizations. I do get a lot of questions on stream about how to customize them, and so I want to share that in this video. Do keep in mind that weak auras can be incredibly advanced. This is meant to be more of a basic beginner's guide, and really using what I've learned in my experience from using them for months is that really you actually only need a basic understanding to really be able to do most of the stuff that most players need for weak auras. Now, first, how to download and set up weak auras. Now, if you guys are familiar with downloading weak auras, of course, downloading add-ons, all you need to do is go to CurseForge. If you already know how to do this, you could skip ahead in the chapters on YouTube to that. But of course, you want to go to CurseForge and download the weak auras add-on. I'll put that in the description below. And from there, it is going to work very similar to all add-ons. Now, for me, I find weak auras sometimes to be a little bit confusing because the add-on is called weak auras, and all of the individual weak auras that you use in game are also called weak auras. So for example, you open up the add-on by typing /WA in chat, and then you will see when I open up the add-on, I have all of these individual weak auras. They're all called the same thing, which for me, I find a little confusing. But weak auras is the name of the major add-on and the name of all the individual ones you use. And you can do so many things with weak auras. So for example, you can see my circle cursor. For there, I have a weak aura that puts a little white circle around my mouse, so that even when I am right-clicking to turn my camera, I don't lose place of where my mouse is. You can also see that I have this infamous don't release ginormous weak aura to be able to remind myself, hey, our healer has a mass res, don't release. Then of course, you can also see this dragon running one that I have right here that I really, really love, that kind of just gives me a different UI to show me my dragon riding vigor, the speed, and all that stuff. You can use weak auras to show yourself timers for bosses, understanding mechanics, quality of life updates, and so much more. But the way that I like to describe weak auras is it's almost a bunch of add-ons within a major add-on. So I want you to think of weak auras similar to CurseForge. What is CurseForge? It is the major hub that holds all of your add-ons, right? So all of us that use this, you guys know you can go to my add-ons and you'll see all of the individual add-ons right in there. I think of almost the weak aura add-on the same way. That when you download weak auras, you are brought to what is similar to a CurseForge hub that then holds all of your individual weak auras. So don't be confused by the terminology. I do wish they had maybe a different name for the individual weak auras you download, but that's probably for me the easiest way that I can describe it. Moving on to pretty much setting up and having a basic understanding in some general weak aura options. When you're trying to mess with the individual weak auras that you've downloaded, which by the way, in order to do that, you're going to want to use this website right here. It is called wago.io. I will put a link in the description below. Wago.io is going to be your one-stop shop to get all of the weak auras that you need. You can go to the website, look at the individual classes. You can even just look up general weak auras by clicking on the different options above here in World of Warcraft, ones that have to do with the HUD, plater nameplates, so much more. You can also just go ahead and search there. If you have maybe a curiosity about like, hey, do they have weak auras about fill in the blank? You can search it and see if the option is there. Once you actually go to the weak aura that you're interested in, let me just find a random one for Demon Hunter, for example, and I want to download whatever this weak aura is here, right? Just random off the cuff stuff. All you have to do is when you go there, all you're gonna do is click this copy import string button right here. You're gonna go in game. You are gonna go /WA to open up the weak aura option. You're gonna go to import, and you're just gonna paste that code right there, and you will see right off the bat, when you hit import, it'll download quickly, and then you will be able to have access to that in your weak aura option. Now, I'm not actually on a Demon Hunter, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. I'll have others that I'm actually gonna show you how to use. But for a basic understanding of how to really have some basic options for these, very, very simple. All you have to do is when you're trying to customize a specific weak aura, all you have to do is just click on the individual one you wanna mess with, and it'll show you all of these options. For example, this don't release weak aura that I have right here, right? So I open that, I click on the specific one, and now you'll see I have the freedom to move it. I have the freedom within some display options to change the size of it. Obviously, I went from really, really big to really small. It's default 72. I use mine at 500 because, you know, I need just a little bit more of the reminder to not release, so I don't waste my team's time running back from the raid. But really, all you have to do is the one that you want to customize, make sure to click on it. You'll see the dragon riding one. Now when I click on that, the don't release goes away, and now it's focusing on the dragon riding. A thing that I see a lot of people do is they get confused. They click on an add-on and they click on a weak aura and they're like, I don't see it. It may just actually be underneath your window. So be sure to move it and move it on over. You also get these little arrows where you can move things left and right. You can move them up and down. And then of course, this video is meant to be a beginner's guide, but there are some really in-depth options that you can do throughout these different tabs. You can change things in display. I'll let you in your own time go through there and check that out. You can go through custom options, which starts getting really advanced. Information shows the link in which you got it, if you ever want to share that with a friend. Another thing you can also do to share this with your team or your friends, if you're ever in a raid, in a dungeon, someone's like, hey man, I love that weak aura, what is it? You can actually see right here that in game, if I bring out my general chat, what you can actually do is you're actually able to send the weak auras to people in game by simply doing this. So if I drag my chat over, if I open up the chat window, which you'll see /G, my whole guild's about to get this add-on, and if you shift left click, you'll be able to see that you can post your weak auras to your team. Very easy to do. Last thing I want to show you in a basic understanding of this is the load button. Now this one is very, very important because the load tab will determine basically how you'll be able to see or not see the weak aura. So for example, I'm using right now a dragon riding weak aura. So I have it set to only load. In other words, only appear when I'm dragon riding. But if I turn that off, then I would not see it. I can set it to weak auras only when I'm in combat. I can set it to only when I'm alive, which would pretty much just be all the time. I can set it to never appear. There might be some weak auras that you maybe use for a little while, want to turn them off later. All you got to do is hit never and you'll never see that weak aura again. And you'll actually see when I hit never that it goes from loaded into not loaded. The not loaded category is just those that either you've turned off or ones that are not active on the character you're currently on. So you can see, for example, that the druid, evoker, paladin, they're not loaded because they're not on those characters. But also there are some, raiding mechanics like Oblivion, which is a Sark mechanic. You've got the Morchi RP thing, which is from the new mega dungeon. You've got, the last boss of Vortex Pinnacle. These are ones that are not loaded because I'm not in the areas of the game where those would load. But the load tab is one that is very, very important because that is one that a lot of people struggle with. Like, hey, I can't see the weak aura. When people ask that question, I normally first direct them to the load. That is where you can set it to where you want it to appear or not appear. Now, here's the one where I do want to get a little bit more in depth and talk about what a lot of people use at high-end rating, Mythic Plus, and you will see kind of the weak auras in the middle of the screen that show people's cooldowns, show their abilities, timers, and so many people ask that question. And I want to do a kind of a walkthrough of not only how to get what I use, but then how to do some basic customization options to help them work for you. So again, when getting all weak auras, you normally want to go to Wago, but you can also go to what's called Luxthos.com. This is another content creator who has made these, and I think they're super helpful. There's one for every single spec in the game. He keeps them updated. They're very easy to use, and if you're looking for a beginner's weak aura, I really think this is the best one out there. So for example, I'm on the website. I'm looking to get my weak aura. I'm on my warrior right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get the warrior weak aura. And again, same thing like downloading any weak aura. I'm just going to copy the string. I'm going to go in game /WA import, and I'm just going to paste. This is a big weak aura, so you're going to see that it's going to take a second to upload. And you can see it kind of in the background through the add-on that it's kind of just slowly downloading. Now, I have the weak aura now on this account, on this character, right? I'm going to go over to it. I'm going to go to load because that's the first thing I want to do. And I want to make it appear always. So I'm going to set it to alive. And now you'll see that when I get off my dragon riding mount, it is there. But here's the deal. I don't like the way it looks. You can see it's taking up space. It's kind of overlapping my own player frame, my target frame. And I just don't kind of like the way it looks. It's big, it's clunky. These are my personal preferences. Here's how to customize the Luxthos options in a very, very simple way. First thing that I like to do, I go over to group, and group scale is what is going to change the size of the entire thing, right? So you can make it as big or as small as you want. My preference, I like to use 0.85. That's obviously going to be whatever you want to change it. And now you can see it's a little bit smaller. Great. But I still don't like a few things. I don't like how thick the rage bar is down here. I don't like that there's no border around them. So again, some beginner customization options. What I do is I love to go over to custom options, global style, border size. I set that to 1. You can see right away that now I have just a slight black border around it. All personal preference, but some people don't even know that you can do that. Another thing that I like to do is, again, make these bars not so thick. So in there, again, I'm in the custom options tab, and I want to mess with the rage bar. So I'm going to go down to the rage bar. You can see the height is set to 20. I'm going to change that to 10. And now you're going to be able to see that the rage bar, now it's thinner, right? I got some more bars I want to mess with. Pretty much, honestly, for me, what I do is I go through every single one of these bars, and I actually set them all to 10. Because for me, that is the height that I have decided that I like. So I go ahead and I set them all to 10. Again, that's just my preference. Yours might be different, but just showing you guys exactly how to do this if that's something that you want. So I'm going to copy and paste 10, and anywhere where I see a number above 10, I'm going to change it to 10 because that's just what I like, right? Going here, ignore pain, I want that 10. Rage, I already did. Cast bar, I actually like that. And then health bar, I'm going to change to 10 as well. And so now you'll be able to see that some of those, did I hit enter on that? I might not have hit enter. I did not hit enter. And now you'll see that all of my bars are a little bit thinner, which I actually really like. Last thing that I want to show you in terms of customization is, for me, I like my weak aura to make a little bit of sense for me mentally. So I have an order in which my abilities are on my bars down here, 1, 2, 3. I like that to also be reflected on my weak aura. And within the Luxthos weak aura, super easy to change. All you got to do is, instead of messing with all the options on the right, here you want to actually mess with the options on the left. You see this little plus sign drop down arrow? I want to click on that, and then this is where it starts getting overwhelming, but I'm going to try to keep it basic for you. You see all these individual breakdowns, and even those have their own drop downs. The only one I'm going to focus on right now is really focusing on the core one. The core is what is going to represent the big icons here in the middle, which is what I am going to change. Again, I'm going to go back to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what is my first ability on there. It is Shield Slam, okay? The reason that's important is when I open up core, now I'm looking for Shield Slam in the prot spec. So we're scrolling down, we're finding it, boom, I found it. Now what that represents when I'm in prot spec is that is the first ability. So if I close that again, you can see that Shield Slam is here, followed by Thunderclap. But now that I know that, if I just take Thunderclap and move it above Shield Slam, you'll now notice that the two abilities have switched places. And that is all you have to do to change the order of anything that you see on here. Maybe you've even got some abilities that are down here in the utility. You've got some abilities that are up here. In order to get them to move around, all you have to do is just change the order in which they are in here. And again, the easiest way to do that is to identify what's the first ability, what spec are you in, and then you want to look for that ability, which we did, Shield Slam, Thunderclap, and Protection, and I was able to move them around. Again, there is so much more that you can do with these weak auras, but in my opinion, even just knowing the information that I've shared with you has been able to get me and many others to be able to use weak auras at a really, really optimal level without having to get into the really nitty gritty where I'm putting on my aluminum NASA level hat and, like, you know, doing super high level things, because in my opinion, you just don't need much more than what I've just showed you in order to get by with weak auras on a beginner's level. So friends, I hope this added value to you. If it did, be sure to subscribe to this channel over on YouTube and check out the live streams. I'll put a link in the description below. And let me know in the comments below, what other questions do you have about World of Warcraft or weak auras in general? I'd love to answer them for you. Thank you to all that watch this channel, support the stream, and of course, support on Patreon. I appreciate y'all. We'll see you in the next one.